Indian drawings 1,000 years old.
We never even took time to look at them.
What they discover rocks their world.
There's one there, one there, one there. And look at that panel over there.
We were blown away. They said, "We don't think you have a clue what you have here."
They're betting the ranch on their strange inheritance.
We've actually hung from a thread for a long time.
The rock art's very, very valuable.
But does it pay to own a national treasure?
What does it feel like to have this wall in your family? I'm Jamie Colby, and today I am in Big Sky Country, 100 miles north of Billings, Montana. I'm here to meet a family who have lived here for nearly a century, but only recently learned that an archaeological wonder was staring them right in the face.
My name is Macy Algren. In 2000, my father died and left me this ranch. He also left me with the steep challenge of figuring out how to keep the family on the land.
Hi, Macy. I'm Jamie.
Hi, welcome to Bear Gulch.
Thanks for writing, and you said you had something extraordinary to show me. Does it include bears?
I have something much better.
Let's go. I'd love to see. Bear Gulch Ranch, named after the creek that winds through the property, is the kind of place you envision when singing America the Beautiful. Purple Mountain Majesty and all that. How many years has it been in your family?
Since 1919. My grandfather came from Minnesota. He and my grandmother and their two daughters moved here and decided to purchase this ranch.
In the 1950s, Macy's parents, James and Ida, take over the 2,000-acre homestead. They raise cattle and pigs, farm wheat and hay. Doesn't pay much, but it's enough to put food on the table for their 3 kids. When you're growing up on the ranch, what were your chores?
You milk the cows, you feed the pigs, you learn to drive a tractor at an early age.
But it's not all hard work. There are plenty of wide-open spaces for young Macy to explore. She and her siblings especially like playing here. A half-mile-long limestone cliff soaring 100 feet into the air. What did it look like to you as a kid?
It was just a large canyon wall, but it had specific painted designs on it. As my dad so aptly put it, Indian signs on it.
Indian signs like these. The rock walls are covered with them. But that doesn't strike Macy or her family as all that remarkable. In this area, how unusual is it to find relics on your land?
Everybody has some sort of a unique thing on their ranch. People just didn't pay attention to it. We never even took time to hardly look at them.
And Macy doesn't think she'll look back when after high school, she leaves the ranch for greener pastures.
I ran away, and I ended up marrying a guy from California, and we moved to California.
California isn't exactly the promised land. After 3 kids and 2 marriages, Macy finds herself as a working single mom. But by her late 30s, she's built up a good life for herself and her children. Things aren't going as well for Macy's father.
My dad was an avid smoker all his life, as most cowboys are, and he ended up with emphysema really bad.
His illness makes it near impossible to work the ranch. Making matters worse, cattle prices plummet in the late 1980s.
The local loan agency called on the cattle loan, and they had to sell the cattle off. So it caused them to not have an income.
After months of overdue loan payments, the bank seizes 1,800 of the ranch's 2,000 acres. The family's down to 10% of what they started with. It's not hard to see the writing on the wall.
They were brokenhearted, but they didn't really know any other life, and it was home.
And at that point, it occurs to Macy that it's still her home, too. She decides she must return to the ranch to help her parents out. In 1989, she gives up her high-paying job and moves her family to Bear Gulch.
So we all gave up the finer things that we had. There was a lot of vacations canceled. I mean, you just stayed at home and made life happen.
Easy adjustment for a kid?
No, especially my Ray.
When I first moved here from the big city, I hated it. I absolutely despised it.
Why not just sell it all and get out?
Besides being home, it's beautiful, it's memories. You can't find it anywhere else.
Macy tells her parents she'll run the ranch and resolves to do whatever it takes to keep her family from losing the rest of their land.
Were the 200 acres still a lot of work?
Oh, yes. It was a challenge, and I took it on.
You must have really loved your parents.
Absolutely.
There were times where Mom worked 3-4 jobs just to make sure that we had a roof over our head and food to eat.
Did you ever say to yourself, this stress is too much?
Many times, but I just made things work.
While Macy struggles to make things work, the ranch gets a visit from an out-of-town couple, John and Mavis Greer. The Greers introduce themselves as archaeologists, their specialty, Indian rock art. They've heard tales about the ranch's limestone cliffs and ask if they can take a look. The year is 1999.
As an archaeologist, how many different sites had you been to in your career before you came here?
Oh, I've probably been to 1,000 before arriving here.
So this wasn't on your necessarily, like, top 5 places in the world you wanted to see?
It was not.
Macy shrugs, then walks the Greers the half-mile from the house to the wall.
What was their reaction?
They look at me in bewilderment, and they said, "We don't think you have a clue what you have here."
So what do they have here? That's next.
But first, our strange inheritance quiz question. Montana is America's 4th largest state, behind Alaska, Texas, and California. So what's the 5th largest? Michigan, New Mexico, or Oregon? The answer when we return. So what's the 5th largest state after Alaska, Texas, California, and Montana? It's B, New Mexico. It's also one of the driest, averaging less than 14 inches of precipitation per year.
Macy Algren is a 3rd-generation rancher here at Bear Gulch, a Montana homestead that includes a half-mile-long, 100-foot-high limestone cliff covered in unusual Native American paintings and etchings.
Did you ever have it studied?
Not at all.
It's just a regular part of life.
It was, yes.
That is, until a visit from archaeologist Mavis Greer, along with her husband, John, in 1999.
So you came here to this spot the first time?
We did. Bushwhacking up through the weeds and up to here.
How far up here did you have to come before you had an initial reaction?
This is as far as we needed to go. We were blown away already by the variety of figures.
While many sites require hours of searching to find even a few scattered traces of rock art, the wall at Bear Gulch is covered in it.
Oh, there's one there, one there, one there. And look at that panel over there. They're one after another.
And more as we go down the wall.
The Greers have never seen so many different types of Native American rock art all in one place. They tell Macy the site deserves an extensive evaluation.
Did you know at that point I maybe have something very, very special?
That thought went through my mind that, wow, maybe it is more than just a few drawings.
But it's just a passing thought. The struggle to keep the ranch operating doesn't allow her much more than that. She also watches her kids flee, just as she did right after high school. Ray, for one, doesn't fare so well.
I wanted nothing more than to get out of here, and I bounced around from state to state. I was headed down a pretty dark road for a while.
And then in March 2000, just a few months after the Greers' visit, Macy's father, James, passes away at age 77, leaving Macy Bear Gulch Ranch. Her inheritance includes that cliff and its strange markings.
He asked me to please take care of Mom and to take care of the place and not just sell it off. It had ended up in my hands, and it was my responsibility to take care of it.
Meantime, the Greers spend a half-decade trying to raise cash and assemble the right team to do their study. In 2005, they finally returned to Bear Gulch.
They organized a group to come and record every drawing at the site. It was a 2-week venture.
The drawings and engravings, referred to as pictographs and petroglyphs, range from the size of a pen cap to a scene 23 feet long. Take a look. There are handprints, animals, hoof prints, and even a rare childbirth scene.
It's the only one on the Northern Plains. There are other scenes that show pregnancy, but this is the most explicit birthing scene.
That looks explicit. She's giving birth. And this?
Over here, we have her spouse, who is simulating the birth in order to draw the evil spirits toward him and away from the baby.
Is that in lieu of an epidural?
I think that it wouldn't probably help the wife all that much.
The Greers are most amazed by the vast number of works that depict warriors carrying giant shields. There are so many that all of the other rock art sites in the Northern Plains together don't have as many shield-bearing warriors as Bear Gulch.
And why warriors?
This place appears to have been a location that people came to prior to going to war, and they drew their shields with a design that they hoped was going to bring them power and was going to bring them victory.
The shields show a variety of battle designs, including bears, bison, and deer. Other shields depict the extended hand of a supernatural hero, reaching out from the heavens to protect the warrior.
They sound sacred, then.
They are, and they are definitely sacred today.
In total, the Greers and their team identified 3,000 individual pieces of rock art, making Bear Gulch one of America's largest Indian rock art sites and also one of its best preserved.
The painted parts of the rock art here are made from red ochre, and it will bind to the rock and actually become part of it, so that's why it lasts so long.
How long? Macy is thunderstruck when she learns the age of the relics.
Like hundreds of years old?
Way more than that, thousands of years old.
It's an unparalleled glimpse into the past, a national treasure, and Macy owns it. So can she cash in on her strange inheritance and save her home on the range?
Were people banging down your door?
That's next.
Here's another quiz question for you. Which city currently has the most Native American residents? Los Angeles, Phoenix, Oklahoma City, or New York? The answer when we return. So, which city currently has the most Native American residents? It's D, New York. The largest city in the country also has the largest indigenous population, with more than 100,000 Native Americans.
Macy Algren is desperately trying to save her family's Montana ranch, but the debts are mounting. She hopes to capitalize on her strange inheritance, this giant cliff, which she's just learned is one of the country's leading sites for Native American rock art. So Macy starts a home business, figuring people will pay to see the pictographs.
Were people banging down your door?
No, I had like 3 people the first year. In
The first year?
The first year, the first summer.
The site's remote location, far from any major city or interstate, doesn't help. Macy creates a website and does some advertising. Word starts to spread slowly. By 2012, she's getting 100 tourists a year. Not exactly a thriving enterprise.
It took a lot of patience and hard work. It took a lot of being there every day at 10 o'clock.
One thing Macy knows would really put Bear Gulch on the tourist map if the Greers would hurry up and publish their findings. Then Macy's mother, Ida, falls seriously ill and is put in a nursing home. Bills pile up. Ida knows full well she's added to her daughter's crushing debt burden.
How'd she react?
She was heartbroken, but at the same time, I convinced her that it was okay.
At long last, in spring 2012, the Greers finally released their study.
Why did it take 7 years to publish that book?
The book is this thick with 3,000 individual figures. Each one's described in there. Just very time-consuming.
News of Bear Gulch and its staggering number of artworks spreads like a prairie fire. Folks from around the world are suddenly booking tours.
And once people started coming, pretty soon the newspapers started coming along.
How many people do you estimate come there every summer?
Every year it seems to be more and more. Last year was roughly 1,500.
Is it generating any revenue?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
About $10,000 a year. Hardly a windfall, but the supplemental income, along with grazing fees and a limestone quarry, are enough to stabilize the ranch's finances and keep the land in the family. But Macy can still use more money.
If you could come up with a dollar amount that it would take to make all your dreams come true for this property and to pay off the loans, what is that number?
It would have to be somewhere around $200,000.
She definitely needs more help, too.
While you still have the vim and vigor to do this, there will come a day where someone else will have to take this over.
That someone rides to the rescue, while Macy finds out what the ancient drawings might really be worth.
The rock art's very, very valuable. This should be preserved and protected and made available for more people to view.
That's next. What's your strange inheritance story? We'd love to tell it. Send me an email or go to our website, strangeinheritance.com.
Now, back to Strange Inheritance.
Bear Gulch Pictographs, run by Macy Algren, is the newest tourist attraction in central Montana.
It feels really great, and I hope that we can find a way to share it with anybody that wants to come.
One of those eager to come is Brad Hamlet, a collector of Native American relics.
This is something that was done probably thousands of years ago, and it speaks to us today. It's truly American history.
Hamlet's also a Montana state senator.
This site needs to be part of a public park system, preserved and protected, researched, and made available for more people to view.
If so, you'd think Senator Hamlet would lead the effort to find public money to help Macy. But that's a hard sell, he says.
The problem the state has is they don't have a lot of money to do things with. Everybody's got the things they think are the most important. And the sad thing is, you can't fund them all.
He wonders, however, if Macy might be able to find a philanthropist who would pay her to put a conservation easement on the property, preserving the site for posterity. Hamlet thinks such a deal could net the family at least $1 million, giving them the funds to build out a first-class tourist destination.
The trails need to be widened out. We need to have a visitor center. There's just a lot of things that we absolutely can't afford to do it.
Wait, did he say we? Yep, turns out Macy's son Ray, who like his mom left the ranch as soon as he finished high school, is drawn back to the place.
I remember the last words my grandfather ever spoke to me. He told me to take care of my mom, and I feel that's what I've been doing. Right here is the nose of the bear.
And he's found a new calling as the lead tour guide.
Giving these tours has definitely changed my life for the better. I have never been doing as well as I am now.
He's even come up with his own theories about some of the ancient Native American figures and symbols.
Go ahead and turn around and put your back right here.
Okay.
Now spread your arms out. Perfect. Directly above your head is a headdress drawn in the wall. Just to the right of that is a bison. Now, on December 21st, when the sun rises, it will actually rise in a direct straight line in front of you. I believe that is when they would actually pray for hunting or good crops. So having all of these little bits and pieces all come together like a puzzle, it just made sense.
Talk about coming together like a puzzle. A sacred wall Native Americans used to record their tales of war, family, nature, and the supernatural. A millennia of moons later, it's entrusted to a Montana family who come to appreciate anew that there's something magical about Bear Gulch.
Is it fair to say that rock art saved your ranch?
Yes.
It's done something else that's made Macy ever grateful. It's drawn together her family's generations, too.
I think Grandma and Grandpa look down on us every day with smiles on their face.
What does it feel like to have this wall in your family?
Lately, a dream come true.
Native Americans are not the only ones who wanted to tell their stories on these walls. In the late 1800s, a wagon trail ran right by these cliffs. A good place to stop and water the horses and mark your arrival on the western frontier. As you can see, the graffiti date all the way back and include dozens of names. So thousands of years from now, it may be some other archaeologist's turn to look at these scratchy letters and wonder, who the heck wrote this stuff? And what on earth were they thinking? I'm Jamie Colby. Thanks so much for watching Strange Inheritance. And remember, you can't take it with you.